Hey, what's up everyone? Adam here with brahwegotthis, and today we are going to go through 5 things that the game of ESO doesn't tell you when either starting out or just in general throughout the game. These tips are things that you usually either have to find out on your own or are just tips that a lot of players don't realize that have a big impact on your playthrough and the gameplay. These are tips that I picked up along the way or I observed or learned from other players, and seriously, some of these took me years to find out, and I was like, wow, I had no idea. But before we get started, I just want to give a huge shout out to all my patrons. Thank you so much for all the support. If you would like to become a patron, check out the link below in the description. And if you ever want to watch me play live, I stream on twitch.tv/brahwegotthis. We have a very helpful Discord as well. And you can check out our helpful beginner-friendly website at brahwegotthis.com. All those links are in the description below, so make sure to check those out. So starting off, the first thing that ESO doesn't tell you is actually a pretty recent update addition that wasn't around when I was playing through the game. This is reconstructing items from your item set collection system. This system was introduced with the Markarth patch last year, and what this allows you to do is basically recreate a piece of armor or weapon that you have essentially stored in your sticker book from dungeons, trials, overland, etc. The tip that I want to give that is relating to this that the game doesn't tell you is when you compare reconstructing an item versus re-rolling it via the transmute system. With the transmute system, you can retrait an item with any trait that you have researched for a flat rate of 50 transmute crystals. That rate never changes, but what some players might not know is as you collect an item set piece in your item set collection system, that lowers the amount of transmute crystals that you need to create that item. At the point where each item will cost less than 50 crystals, this is where you should be reconstructing your items instead of transmuting your items. This is going to save you transmute crystals. Now, you have to keep in mind that when you reconstruct an item, you have to use crafting mats as well. So if I wanted to reconstruct this, it's going to use, the dwarven oil or the grain solvent or the tempering alloy. So that is something that you have to keep in mind as you do this. But in my opinion, getting these mats are not that hard to do. So essentially, I hope this will save some of you some transmute crystals, because this is something that people don't realize is that why would you transmute an item when it's 50 crystals rather than just reconstructing it for 39 crystals? The next thing the game doesn't explain or does a minimal job doing is how bound items work in ESO and what the parameters are of bound items in ESO. So this is something that I learned about 1.5 years ago, I believe, and I was shocked and I was like, how did I not know this? But essentially, ESO has the ability to share items between all your characters or trade specific items with other players. Any item that you receive from dungeons, trials, crafted sets, and overland can be used and worn by any of your characters on your account. So for instance, I have 17 characters. I can equip a piece of Hunding's Rage that I made on my main account on all 17 different characters if I choose to. I can also equip a Earthgore helmet to all of those characters as well. I can take it off this main character here and I can put it on another character, then I can put it on another character, right? But when you equip those items, they will bind to your account. You'll see that it says bound up there. So for this Mad Tinker's Lightning Staff, it says bind on equips. If I equip this, it will actually bind it to my account. This means that you can no longer give those items to any player or trade them. Now for dungeons and trials, you are only able to trade that item with players that participated with you in that trial or dungeon for 2 hours. After that, it will be bound to your account. So this means that if you want to sell overland pieces of armor, you would need to make sure that you do not equip that piece of armor or weapon. Another thing to keep in mind is when you reconstruct an item or transmute an item, it will also bind that item to your account. So if you get a Mother Star Inferno Staff from Deshawn and you didn't get the right trait, so you want to transmute it to sell it for a ton of gold on Guild Traders, this wouldn't work. This will bind it to your account. This prevents a whole slew of things, so basically people can't exploit the market. The other thing to mention is items that say character bound. These are items that you usually get from quests or crown items. Sometimes you'll see that it says character bound, like you'll see Luciana's Codex of Mastery says character bound. So this means I cannot transfer this to any other character on my account. I have to have this on my main account. Some of these also are from when you go through 1 through level 50 on your level up like tip bar thing. It'll also have character bound items there. The next thing that the game doesn't really explain is a quick one, but something I figured out again about after 4 years of playing this game, and that is two-handed weapons or two-handed items count as 2 pieces of an item set. Now, I know some people may think, really, Adam, you didn't know this? Well, I didn't for the longest time because the way I looked at it, I saw 1 item equipped, so I thought, oh, it must only count as 1 item. So for instance, bows, staves, and 2-handed melee count as 2 items for an item set. So you see here, Resto Staff of the Imperium, this counts as 2 items for the Imperium set. This allows people to run those builds with 3 jewelry pieces and 1 piece on the staff here, and then you can run another like Maelstrom staff here if you'd like to get that 2-piece bonus as well. That allows people to be able to do that. The 4th thing that the game doesn't tell you is the difference between the PvE content. Now, what I mean by this is, what is the difference between a delve, public dungeon, dungeon, trial, world boss, and dolmens, dragons, diners, and drives? No, I'm just kidding. But Harrowstorms and geysers and all those world events. The game may give a quick blurb about this, but I don't think many players that are new may actually understand what to expect for each of these. So I want to give a quick rundown of each, okay? So dragons, dolmens, Harrowstorms, and geysers are all public events that spawn that you can do with other players. It's as simple as that. Delves are noted by the little torch icon right here. There are 6 of these in each zone and 2 in other smaller zones. These all have a quest, a sky shard, and a mini boss, as I like to call it. These are definitely soloable and the easiest of the Overland content. World bosses are harder bosses to complete, and they can be soloed, but preferably they are better fought with a group. These are a lot harder than delve bosses. There are 6 of these in each zone and 2 in smaller zones, and they are noted by the skull crossbones icon that you see here. Public dungeons are dungeons in each zone for the most part, noted by the circular rounded cave icon. That's right here. These have a quest, usually a memento, a guaranteed skill point for doing the multiplayer event inside of them, and usually I think around 6 bosses in the public dungeon. These are dungeons that have multiple players in them at once. I want to say the max group size is like 12 for these, but I could be mistaken on that. Dungeons are 4-man content. These are noted by the square cave with the plus next to it. These have normal and veteran versions. These will run 1 tank, 1 healer, and 2 DPS, and these have a quest in them as well and a skill point attached to that quest. Trials are noted by the skull plus the little like plus cave icon mixture thing here. It looks really cool. These are 12-man raids that usually run 2 tanks, 2 healers, and 8 DPS. These have multiple bosses and a quest as well. The last thing that the game doesn't tell you is what type of loot drops from Overland content bosses and other activities. What I mean by this is that if you're looking for a Mother's Sorrow Inferno staff or staff from the Sean Overland right here, you will never get it by doing a dolmen, okay? So if you go try to do this dolmen, you're not going to get an Inferno staff from this dolmen. There are specific activities that you have to farm that breaks up the armor, jewelry, and weapons throughout the zone's activities. This is something that I didn't know for a long time, and I actually learned it through other people, the wiki pages, and other places. But essentially, dolmens will drop jewelry pieces of the Overland sets, so there are 3 Overland sets per zone, so that means if you do dolmens, you will get jewelry for 1 of those 3 Overland sets. Now, zones that do not have dolmens, you will get jewelry from trials or chests that you find. Now, for the other item drops, I'm going to reference Outcast's website, esohub.com, which I will have in the description, because this is where I learned this originally from, plus other players. So if you want to go check out his website, you can check that out in the description. But he is where I learned about this drop information. So he has the information on certain on the Overland item sets through that ESO Hub website. So delve bosses will drop waist and feet pieces. So that means if you go do a delve, you're going to get the Overland item sets from Deshaun only from you're only going to get waist and feet pieces from delve bosses. Okay, world bosses will drop weapons, head, chest, and leg pieces. So if you do world bosses, this is where you want to farm for the Mother Star Inferno staff, because you can get them from world bosses, right? Public dungeon bosses, so the bosses in this public dungeon here, drop shoulders, weapons, and hands. So you can also farm for the Mother Star Inferno staff from the public dungeon as well. And zones without public dungeons, those will be dropped from like other sources in the zone as well. So a lot of people don't actually know that. And that's something I didn't know up to about a year and a half ago. It's kind of crazy. Like, again, I was playing this game for so long and I didn't even realize that. And so you could be farming an item set that's in the Overland and you're like, why haven't I gotten this yet? Is it just my terrible RNG or am I doing something wrong? Well, you might be doing something wrong. And that is, if you're not farming the right piece of content, you might not get that drop that you're looking for. And I want to mention something else as well. I noticed from playing recently, I actually got a unique named item piece. So like they'll have names and stuff. You get these from quests, you get these from delve bosses, world bosses, all this stuff, right? And I've noticed that I've gotten that before from certain bosses. And I was like, wait a minute, weapons are dropping from a delve boss. And so I actually confirmed as well on the Elder Scrolls wiki. I'll have the link below in the description. It talks about how you can get unique item pieces as well from the bosses. So like from a delve boss, you can get a unique weapon, but in general, it is not going to drop a weapon. So I confirmed that from that wiki. Again, the link to that is in the description below. So these are just 5 things the game doesn't explain. If you'd like me to do another round of these or a couple more videos regarding things, let me know down in the comments below, because I enjoyed making this video and I'd like to help you out as much as I can. But if you did like this, make sure to like, subscribe, heavy attack that bell icon to stay up to date on all the content in the channel. And you can always, again, watch me play live on twitch.tv/brahwegotthis. You can check out our Discord. You can check me out on Twitter @brahwegotthis. And you can check out our website at brahwegotthis.com. But until next time, y'all, just remember to have faith, be great, and I'll see you on ESO.